So now it's time to fill your Airbow with air. So to give you an idea of what's going to be happening, this lower tube is your air reservoir, and we're going to fill it to 3,000 psi. So if you don't yet have a fill solution, and you're thinking your home compressor from a home improvement store might be able to fill it, those generally fill to about 150 or maybe 180 psi. This needs 3,000 psi pressure to operate properly. So you're going to need either a high pressure hand pump or a high pressure air tank, and we're going to go over how to use each of these. So the first thing we need to do is to locate the fill probe. So during the unboxing, we talked about the fill probe, and you don't want to lose this. So what's going to happen is we're going to attach our fill source to the male end, and we'll stick the probe into the hole at the end of the reservoir. Now, this needs to go in at the proper angle. It's not some oddball angle, but you don't want to approach it like this and try to, kind of figure its way in there. It goes straight in, directly in, and you can kind of move it around till you feel where it's ready to slip, and there it goes. If you improperly insert it, you risk clipping or rolling back these O-rings. And these O-rings create a seal on either side of the hole in the probe, which matches up with a hole in the reservoir. But that's okay. If you do happen to make the mistake of clipping or rolling back an O-ring, you can either roll it back into place, or if you clip it or break it off, there are 2 extra O-rings taped to the back of your owner's manual, and you're welcome. Now we've got our fill probe. Here's the first fill solution. This is the Benjamin high pressure hand pump. It does look like a bicycle pump, but it is quite beefy. It will air up to 3,000 psi. You could pump up your car tire with this. So what we're going to do, here's your female end. You can see you just pull the collar back like so. And we take the male end, pull the collar back, insert, and press to make sure it's in. And you give it a little tug to make sure it's on there nice. At this point, remember you carefully slip that probe into the Airbow, and now you're ready to go. On the back side of the pump, here at the base, you're going to see this gold screw. That's your bleed valve, and that it deals with the air in the line. You want to make sure before you pump that you're closed, that bleed valve is closed, so it's nice and closed. So now you're at the point where you're ready to put your feet on it and start pumping away. When the Airbow arrives, it's going to be at about 0 or possibly up to 150 psi. That's how much pressure will be in it. From that point, it will take you 250, possibly up to 300 strokes to air it up to the required or recommended pressure of 3,000 psi. Once you get up to 3,000, you'll shoot it down to about 2,000, maybe 1,900. That's 8 shots plus 2 additional. That's roughly 10 shots. 8 shots at 450 plus a couple more at 400. So you won't shoot it back down to 0. So to get it back from the end of your shot string back to 3,000 is going to be probably about 100, maybe 125 strokes, or it could be a couple more depending on the climate as well. So once you're done hand pumping, we want to degas, or what we call bleed the line, and that's bleeding the air out, because now this is charged with high pressure air, and you can pull this out. There's so much pressure, it'd be really difficult to pull it out, but if you manage to get it out, it'd be a big pop, and it'd be kind of scary and freak out the kids. So let's do this the right way. Take that gold bleed valve we mentioned earlier, unscrew that just a little bit. Don't have to pull it all the way out, just a little bit. You'll know it's happening because you'll hear a big whoosh of air just as you start to loosen it up. That whoosh is the air in the line escaping. Once all the air is out in your ear, it'll go psh, just like that, and it won't whoosh anymore. Just simply pull your probe out. Now you're ready to go. And you can monitor your air pressure on the gauge located just below the arrow rest. And take care when you do this, because you don't really, now you've got a charged device, you don't want to point it straight at your forehead. Just kind of look at it at an angle so it's pointing in a safe direction, and you'll be set. So that is charging the Airbow with a hand pump. So now let's look at charging it with a high pressure tank. This is a 90 cubic inch carbon fiber wrapped aluminum bottle. And on the back of it has all your safety information. If you're like me and you like to put decals and stickers on things, just don't cover up this label, because it does need to be inspected every 5 years. And if you cover this up, you'll just have to go out and buy a new one, because they'll refuse to inspect it and you won't be able to use it anymore. So this is the information they need to know. There's a page on Crosman.com to help you decipher this. It explains exactly what all the components are, and you can check it out at the link below. So the rest of the assembly here, you've got your main valve, that's the big black knob. The silver valve, that's your bleed valve. Here's your gauge, micro bore hose with the female disconnect right there. So just as we did with the hand pump, we're going to attach our fill probe to the quick disconnect. So you pull the collar back, push it in, give it a nice tug, make sure it's not coming off. So same concept, put it in, straight in, and now you're set. Now you want to make sure that bleed valve is closed before you open up the main valve. At this point, if you look, you've got a gauge on the Airbow and a gauge on the tank. I tend to watch the gauge on the Airbow. That's where the air's going. That's one where the pressure's coming up. That's the one I'm concerned with. And so that is the gauge I will watch. To get things started, again, confirm your bleed valve is closed. Slowly open up the main valve. The Benjamin tank is regulated, so you can crank it wide open and it's still going to release at the same pressure. But you want to do it slowly. And I'll tell you why, because pressure creates heat. And you'll feel, if you keep your hand on it and you turn it on, you'll feel it warm up. But slowly you'll see the needle move. As it gets close to 3,000, you start slowing down. What I recommend is once it gets to 3,000, close that main valve. At this point, you've got a little bit of heat built up. Let that cool off. I mean, I'm talking about just a couple seconds. You'll see that needle begin to fall just a little bit. It's not very much, maybe 50 or 100 psi. At that point, kind of crack open that main valve just for a few seconds to get it bumped back up to 3,000, and you'll be set. So at this point, you're done filling. This hose is now full of high pressure air. We need to get that out in order to remove the probe. So on the bottle, that means releasing the air through the bleed valve. You turn that silver knob till the big whoosh stops whooshing, just like that. And now we can pull the probe out. Again, check your air pressure, make sure you're where you want to be, and you're ready to go.